welcome to Road to Lok Sabha, Mirror Now special election show. I'm Shreya Upadhyaya, a show where we go beyond the politics and deep dive into how India votes. 2 phases done, 5 more to go. The second phase to the Lok Sabha elections has been done. The third is all set to take place on the 7th of May. 95 seats across 10 states and 2 union territories will seal the fate of 1,352 candidates in this phase. Karnataka, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Goa, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Daman Diu, Chhattisgarh, Bihar. High-profile battles, key issues. We get you all of that on the show today. Let's quickly first get you the details of this phase. That's phase 3 of the elections. How are the seats spanned out? Well, the key states that are going to polls, Gujarat with 26 seats is going to be voting in phase 3 of the Lok Sabha elections. Chhattisgarh has 7 seats going to polls in phase 3 of the elections. Uttar Pradesh, another crucial state, has 10 seats out of the 80 going to polls in phase 3. Madhya Pradesh has 8, but those 8 has some very high-profile crucial battles playing out. Maharashtra has 11 seats going to polls, another important state with key candidates battling it out. Karnataka has the rest of the 14 seats going to polls this time. Remember, in phase 2, the first 14 had gone and now the other 14 out of the 28 are going to polls. West Bengal has 4 seats going to polls in phase 3 of the elections. Of course, these are the states, as we told you, which are going to polls. Remember, Bihar also has 5 seats going to polls in phase 3 of the elections. So this, by far, is how phase 3 will look like, and these are the key states that are going to polls in this phase of the Lok Sabha elections. Let's start with first a very crucial state, the state of Karnataka, the South push that has been happening. 28 total seats, out of which 14 have already voted. 14 will be going to polls in phase 3. Remember, BJP last time around won 25 of those 28 seats. So a very crucial state for the BJP, eyeing a repeat of this result, or even better, we'll have to see. Congress had 1, JDS had 1, others had 1. Remember, the BJP and JDS this time around are in alliance with each other. How this alliance really plays out in this year's election, we will have to see. But clearly, the BJP will try and push for a state which it has high hopes from, and its mission south, of course, will be, crucially looked at, closely watched as to how the Saffron Party does, and of course the Congress and others. But let's quickly introduce my guests on the show today. I'm joined by Madhavan Narayanan, he's a senior journalist. Vijay Grover, he's a senior journalist. Japan Pathak, political analyst, and Madan Mohan Jha, also senior political analyst, joining us. Before I come to all of you, let me first get the key candidates and the key battles that are playing out in the state of Karnataka. Remember, 14 seats out of the 28 are going to polls. Let's quickly take a look at that. All right, let's have those graphics up. Yes, BJP's Chandana Gowda versus Congress's Samyukta Patil going to battle it out in the Bagalkot seat. Important seat there. Of course, Karnataka, remember, will also see Umesh Jadhav versus Radhakrishna Dodamani from the Gulbarga seat. This is also a crucial seat when it comes to BJP eyeing a better result this time around in Bellary. Sri Ramalu of the BJP versus the Congress's Tukaram. We'll have to see how this fight pans out. But moving on, let's get the other crucial seats. Haveri has a high-stake battle. Former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai versus Congress's Gadar Vetham is also going to be a crucial battle to be looked at in Karnataka. In Dharwad, Prahlad Joshi Union Minister versus Congress's Vinod Asuti. Another high-stakes, high-profile battle which will be closely watched in Karnataka. We also have Hegde Vishneshwar of BJP in Uttar Kannada fighting it out with Anjali Nimbalkar of the Congress party. Of course, these are important, crucial seats, and both the parties will be fighting it out on key issues, electoral issues. But Shimoga there, remember, has BJP's Raghavendra, B.Y. Raghavendra versus Congress's Geeta Shivraj Kumar. Another important battle that's going to be panning out in the state of Karnataka. Let me go to my guests and understand how this is going to be playing out in the 14 seats of Karnataka. Madhavan Narayanan, let me start with you. Karnataka is a crucial state for the BJP, but just the last week has been extremely controversial for the BJP-JDS alliance with the alleged sex scandal of Prajwal Revanna and his father H.D. Revanna. How much of that is actually going to be impacting the voter on ground?
Interesting that you asked the question because we all know in general that any sex scandal of any party will adversely affect the votes of that party and its allies, and also that women voters will be swung by that. But I want to look beyond the obvious and look at what is going on. In Karnataka, the northern part of Karnataka is now voting. And that is interesting because the northern part has a lot of Lingayats. It's a Lingayat area in many ways, whereas Prajwal Revanna and the JDS are very strong in the farmer community of the Vokaligas, which is a large base in the southern part, Bangalore and adjoining areas like Mandya, what's called the Mandya agricultural belt. So from that point of view, it would seem to me that Congress has suddenly got an advantage because the Lingayats and Vokaligas have always had a power struggle in a social sense in terms of aspirations in Karnataka. And therefore, other factors other than the simple demands of the community come into play for fence sitters as well as in negotiations and in voting behavior where the mind needs to be a little influenced. To that extent, I think the sex scandal hitting the BJP's ally JDS is crucial. And no wonder the BJP and JDS are also pointing to the fact that why did this scandal break now, whereas it has been around in some way for years? And that is because it is believed that the southern part of Karnataka, the Vokaliga belt was such that, and scandal erupting late will not make much of a dent in some kind of Vokaliga areas where the caste-based voting is very strong. So that is one aspect. The other thing is there is an anti-incumbency factor. It is important to remember that Karnataka is not really Modi territory as an individual leadership-oriented territory because the Hindi oratory of Modi is not very, effective in Karnataka. And there are other factors like agricultural issues. And please remember, Congress stormed to power using the 6 guarantees in the assembly election. So to that extent, depending on which way you look at it, the BJP can be called an incumbent from a Lok Sabha perspective, but the Congress can be called an incumbent from a state perspective. But it seems to me that unlike the last time, this is going to be a very tough battle for the BJP.
Yes, you rightly pointed out, Madhavan Narayan, that this is going to be a tough battle, but BJP has high hopes from the state of Karnataka, 25 out of 28. And of course, the Prime Minister making that big Mission South push in the state. But, Vijay Grover, let me also understand from you, for the JDS, isn't it more of a survival battle this time around? Last time in 2019, Hassan was the only seat that they won. And now you have Prajwal Revanna being accused in this alleged sex scandal. Of course, North Karnataka is somewhere that the JDS doesn't also enjoy much support.
Well, see, Shreya, one thing that comes to mind over here, and you very rightly put it, it is a question mark in front of the JDS as to where it's headed now. Even before the Prajwal Revanna case broke and, hogged limelight, before that itself, the questions were being raised with H.D. Kumaraswamy contesting from Mandya, Prajwal Revanna contesting from Hassan. And, this was something which was a question as to what happens to the JDS post Lok Sabha 2024 elections. Because if the former Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy also moves to Parliament and, as was being campaigned by his supporters that he would become the Union Agriculture Minister in the next cabinet if Mr. Modi comes to power. So that was, the kind of whisper campaign that was started. But now with the kind of scam that is broken out, the questions are becoming much stronger because, even the JDS cadre, the MLAs, are unhappy about the way the Prajwal Revanna case is being handled within the party, because many MLAs and many senior leaders have come out and said that, a mere suspension till the SIT probe is over is not enough, because it is being seen only as a lip service and, not something where a strong message needed to be sent. So that is something where, already questions on the future of the JDS, though it is not a big player in the North Karnataka region, because the Vokaligas are basically in the south part of the state, and North Karnataka is purely a Lingayat belt where JDS never had any major play except for Bagalkot, where it had an MLA in the past, or Bellary, where it had some kind of hold in the tribal belt. But
Okay.
apart from that, certainly it is a big question mark in front of the JDS as to how it will take its party forward with all these, controversies miring it about Prajwal
Yeah.
Revanna and an FIR, the second case also being filed against his father Revanna, who's also been accused by one of the victims. So clearly, this is something where a lot of
Yeah.
firefighting needs to be done by the JDS, but questions are also being asked about the fact as to how people in high places like Prajwal Revanna can get away, because this was a scam which did not break out in last 3-4 days. This is something which has been brewing for over a couple of weeks, and all the BJP leaders of the district, the Congress leaders of the district, the JDS leaders of the district, all were aware about this kind of thing, though many of them did not have evidences. But still,
They've all
will the
distanced themselves.
politicians,
You had the Union Home Minister
each
saying
other?
that it's the onus is on the Congress to have actually probed this scandal, and that this was much before they came into alliance.
Well, see, it's easy to blame the Congress from one point of view, but the fact that the accused videos were given by his driver to the BJP district functionary, and that was as early as December 2023, and the letter was written to B.Y. Vijayendra, who's the state president. So clearly, every party is more or less, involved in this covering up, I would say, or not taking the necessary action well in time to quell this
Yeah.
rot and take strong action, because everybody's only talking about Prajwal Revanna's future or JDS future. The fact is, there is a future of the 300 victims, and we're not talking about as to what happens to them, because they stand exposed with these videos in public domain, and what is the kind of protection and the shield that will be given to them. Nobody's talking about that, because these 300 women who've been sexually exploited, we need to discuss, we need to find out whether the Congress or the BJP or the JDS, who will take onus and ensure that, this does not become something which causes further embarrassment to them.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask Madan Mohan Jha. Madan Mohan Jha, the northern Karnataka belt has a dominant Lingayat community. 17% of the Karnataka electorate is comprised of the Lingayats. How do you see that voting pattern? What would be the key issues? The border issue is one significant issue that Karnataka voters will be looking at.
The northern Karnataka, which is going to vote on 7th of May, we can see this 14 seat into the three regions. That is the Bombay Karnataka, the Hyderabad Karnataka, and the central Karnataka. And if we see the Bombay Karnataka, there is a Marathas and Lingayat. And Marathas are voting for the BJP always. And in assembly elections, Lingayat were voted for the Congress, but right now it is toward the BJP. When we see the Hyderabad Karnataka, where Muslims, SC, ST and Reddys are the voter, where we can see that this area is the challenge for the BJP. Because in this area, you have the Gulbarga, where from the Congress leader Kharge came, and this area are challenging for the BJP, where BJP are facing tough fight. And when we see the central Karnataka, in central Karnataka, we are having the two bastion leader. We can say that first one is Chief Minister of Karnataka, and the former Chief Minister Yedurappa came from the central Karnataka, where Kurba and Lingayat vote are dominant. we on ground we are seeing that in Kurva are divided. Kurva voters are divided into BJP and INC this time in Lok Sabha.
Okay. 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 Let me go across to Japan Pathak. Japan Pathak, there's always been that ek tussle raha hai between center and state, especially the southern states की drought relief हो या funds हो, वो state तक पहुंच नहीं रहे हैं, कम पहुंच रहे हैं और उतने नहीं पहुंच रहे हैं जितने state को actually जरूरत है. वो कितना impact करेगा on ground voter को? क्या citizens सोच रहे हैं इस बारे में कि center से उतना पैसा नहीं आ रहा है जो state के challenges resolve करने के लिए जरूरत है?
मैं गुजरात का बता सकता हूँ ऑथेंटिकली कि यहाँ पे तो ऐसा कोई इशू है नहीं. वैसे जितना भी कोई भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जब कैलेमिटी होती है, डिजास्टर होता है, मेरा पत्रकार के रूप में अनुभव है, जब भी कोई भी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कैलेमिटी होती है, डिजास्टर होता है, ड्राउट होता है, तो बहुत बड़ी रकम मांगता है. करीब करीब वो रकम 2000 करोड़ के आसपास होती है, जहां तक मेरा नॉलेज है, तजुर्बा है. और सरकार से उसको, केंद्र सरकार से उसको मिलता है करीब करीब 1000 करोड़, 500 to 1000 करोड़ के करीब करीब मिलता है. तो ये इरिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ एनी गवर्नमेंट इन द सेंटर और इन द स्टेट, या कोई भी राज्य आप गिन लीजिए, या कोई भी कैलेमिटी डिजास्टर या ड्राउट गिन लीजिए, तो उसमें हमेशा ये तो रहता ही है कि स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने जितना मांगा उतना सेंटर ने नहीं दिया. और अगर सेंटर और स्टेट में डिफरेंट गवर्नमेंट है, डिफरेंट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की, तो हमेशा पॉलिटिकल मुद्दा बनता है. यहां भी बना था जब गवर्नमेंट मिसमैच वाली थी सेंटर में तब, और जहां अभी भी मिसमैच वाली गवर्नमेंट है सेंटर और स्टेट में, वहां भी वो इश्यू बनेगा. हालांकि लोग सिर्फ इस इश्यू पे वोटिंग नहीं करते, और भी काफी सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं. तो ये इश्यू इस तरह से इलेक्शन टाइम पे आता जरूर है डिस्कोर्स में, लेकिन डाइल्यूट हो जाता है.
जी, ठीक है. All right. Right, Vijay Grover, you want to make a point? Please go ahead.
Yeah, see, Shreya, what Japan said is right, that, the states ask for exaggerated figure, but the fact is, the last week, the way Supreme Court had to intervene and ensure that, drought relief of 3,900 crores was sanctioned because the center had refused to give that kind of funds, clearly shows that, this differences had now reached a stage where it had become so big that, Supreme Court had to instruct the central government to release funds immediately, because the drought that we had in 23 out of the 28 districts was something which was very, very severe. And it certainly is a debatable and a discussion factor in the northern Karnataka region, because the claim that Siddaramaiah had been making, that the center was being partisan, was not helping the state when it was drought, that was actually established by the intervention of the Supreme Court. The second issue is also that GST devolution, on which the Congress has milked its campaign, that Karnataka has been not given its due share of the GST resources, because for every rupee that Karnataka contributes, only 13 paise come back. So that is also something which is now being sent as a strong message to the people. And that certainly will have an impact, that though the 14 seats of North Karnataka were a clean sweep for the BJP in the last election, this time around people are certainly asking questions about it.
Okay, Madhavan Narayanan, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead, and then I shift our focus to the state of Maharashtra.
I think it's important to remember that although the Supreme Court came in and there are verdicts and rulings and orders, sentiment-wise, it's important to remember that Karnataka doesn't have much of this Hindutva appeal based on Ram Mandir and all, except in the Dakshin Kannada area, the south area. So I think, and then the president of the BJP in Karnataka is P.Y. Vijendra, who's a Lingayat and who's the son of former Chief Minister Yediyurappa. So the BJP seems to have cast its lot with the Lingayats, and to that extent, a community-based voting pattern will not rattle BJP much, but it's also remember, I know as Mr. Jha pointed out, other communities like the Muslims and the Kurubas are also very important, and Chief Minister Siddaramaiah belongs to that community. Although I'm puzzled by the remark, because I thought Kurubas were a vote bank for the Congress, so it would be surprising to see the BJP getting a share of that.
Okay, we'll have to see how it pans out for the BJP. But let's now quickly shift our focus to the state of Maharashtra. Another high stakes, high profile battle that is going to be panning out in the state of Maharashtra. Remember, since the NCP got divided, those two factions have been fighting it out with each other. Let's quickly get those numbers up. A total seats of 48 in Maharashtra. The BJP had 23 last time around. Shiv Sena had 18, NCP had 4, and the Congress had 1. Obviously, the BJP and the Ajit Pawar camp will be looking to have some sort of dominance there, but the Sharad Pawar camp, remember, has not left the battle, even though they've lost the party as well as the symbol in that legal battle. But this by far has been the result. Let's also quickly get you the key contests that phase 3 will see in the state of Maharashtra, the key candidates. Raigad will see Anant Gite versus Sunil Dattatreya, another important battle that's going to be playing out in the region of Raigad. Apart from that, in Solapur, remember, Ram Satpute versus Praniti Shinde, another important battle that's going to be panning out in Solapur. Also, Narayan Rane of the BJP in Ratnagiri Sindhudurg, extremely crucial seat in Maharashtra versus Vinayak Raut is going to be another closely watched battle. We'll have to see how it really pans out for Narayan Rane. Baramati, a very, very crucial battle there. Sena versus Sena. It's within the families. Sunetra Pawar, Ajit Pawar's wife, versus Supriya Sule. She is, of course, the sitting MP from Baramati. And now we have Sunetra Pawar. A lot of, a lot of eyes on this battle. Key seat there, key constituency, but we'll have to see how it pans out for both the women. Now, key issues, let's look at that. Maratha quota has been a long-standing demand. There has been a legal tussle. There have been protests in the state on Maratha quota. Farmer suicides is another concern for the voters of Maharashtra. Remember, unfortunately, we have seen over the past several years that number increasing. Opportunism versus ideology. Remember, the change in the government, the faction split, all of that being noticed by the voters on ground. How much of that would impact the voter when they go out and exercise their franchisee? We'll have to see. Subpar infrastructure is also a concern. Remember, flyovers, bridges, either they don't get inaugurated. When they do, they have challenges due to which they cannot be operated upon. Another problem is in fighting between allies. That is also going to be a key poll issue which voters will be looking at in this year's election. So these by far are the key poll issues in the state of Maharashtra. Let's try and understand, but key contest is something that we need to be looking at in the state of Maharashtra. Remember, Goa. Let's shift our focus now to Goa. In South Goa, you have Pallavi Dempo of the BJP versus Captain Fernandez. Remember, Pallavi Dempo is also the richest candidate in phase 3 of the Lok Sabha elections. So Goa is also going to be voting in phase 3 of the elections. An interesting battle that's going to be panning out in North Goa, where Sri Nayak, the sitting MP, will be up against Ramakant Khalap of the Congress party. What are the key issues? The high-stake battle there. Of course, we will have to see how it pans out in Goa as well. But these are the key candidates in Goa. All right, let me go across to my guest now. Maharashtra, Madhavan Narayanan is going to be seeing a very, very crucial battle in the seat of Baramati. It's Sunetra Pawar versus Supriya Sule. How do you think it's going to pan out? Supriya Sule is experienced. She, of course, can go out and talk about how they've been ditched by Ajit Pawar. Sunetra Pawar still, new to this whole battle that plays out on ground amid the voters. Can she rely just on her husband's work so far?
I think, Shreya, before we go further, I want to draw your attention to your own chart, which is pretty interesting because the 2019 chart showed Shiv Sena and BJP separately, whereas actually they were allies. Now the Shiv Sena has split into two, and your chart doesn't show UBT, the Uday Thackeray part of Shiv Sena. Again, NCP has split into two. So it is anybody's game on how this split, in which, strangely enough, last elections opponents are becoming allies, and it's like a double swing, this way, that way. So what it means is, in the power belt, the Maratha belt, which has very strong NCP pocket borough kind of a thing for the Pawar family, it can be a 50-50 toss-up, but my feeling is that, okay, I'm not going to guess sitting here in Delhi what it means, but essentially, Sharad Pawar is the elder statesman, so he might have a sentimental value. But Ajit Pawar is now the sitting deputy chief minister. But my own feeling is that Sunitra Pawar is a late entrant into the game. And although she might try hard, Supriya Sule has already been a parliamentarian, and that to that extent has some kind of an incumbent advantage in a pocket borough. But this will also be the actual testing ground for what Ajit Pawar really is. And the scores in this election will determine the future of Ajit Pawar himself, because on his claim to be the, real NCP. Now, it's Marathas, it must be remembered, are not a personality-oriented community. Unlike, let us say, if you take a party like DMK or anything, there is one person, and that person calls the shots, by and large. But Marathas have been a very oligarchic community historically. And another point I want to draw your attention to is this entire Maratha quota debate. The OBCs and Marathas are, the Chhagan Bhujbal from that side and Sharad Pawar from this side are fighting it out. So some of the caste-based issues will also play out on the ground, and that might work against the BJP, because the Marathas are particularly, obviously, in favor of Manoj Jarangi Patil, who's been, that is the way I read sitting here, because it's a googly that has been thrown at BJP. So all that might tilt it in favor of the Pawar family, but Sharad Pawar is an aging patriarch, and to that extent, the younger voters may still want to give the benefit of doubt to Ajit. So it's a very interesting contest. I don't want to play guessing games, but I've laid out the issues in front of you.
Madan Mohan Jha, can I understand from you, like Madhavan Narayanan said, the younger voters perhaps would prefer to go with Ajit Pawar, who is, part of the government as well in Maharashtra. Do you think an issue like Maratha quota would be considered by the younger voters of Maharashtra?
Sure. Yes, Maratha quota is one of the important issues in this area, and yes, younger voters are considering it. But when we see the Baramati seat, it is one of the most interesting seat right now, because two Pawar family are contesting with each other, where we can see that there are various problems in these areas, but this Marathas quota is also one of the important key issues in this area, and Supriya Sule and between Sunitra Pawar, this is the one of the toughest fight I can see here.
Sure. Vijay Grover, she might be the incumbent MP there, Supriya Sule, but do you think anti-incumbency is also one of the factors that might be influencing Supriya Sule's fate this time around?
Well, see, as far as Supriya Sule is concerned, she's been very vocal in the parliament, and, in the last 1 year, at least we've seen a couple of her speeches making the kind of impact that she wanted to make. Now, the question here is not about, whether Mrs. Pawar wins or, Supriya Sule wins. The fact is, what happens to the future of the NCP will be decided in this election. And that is something which is very crucial, because a similar fate awaits even Shiv Sena. These splits have happened, and after that, this is the first electoral test where we are going to see whether the Shiv Sena stands with Eknath Shinde or it stands with Uddhav Thackeray. Similarly, whether Ajit Pawar will be able to expand his reign in the party, or it will be Sharad Pawar's clout that will continue. So clearly for these two parties, it's something which this election 2024 shows new course that they need to decide where and whose leadership will be headed. But Supriya Sule, yes, she's made an impact. I don't think so. It's going to be a big contest for her. Even though Ajit Pawar, her uncle, is a very influential man in the constituency, having managed campaigns for Sharad Pawar in the past. But this time around, I think so she will have an edge.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting that this time around in Maharashtra, it's the clan versus clan battle. You have the Pawars in Baramati, you have the Ranes in Ratnagiri, Sindhudurg, you have the Shindes in Sholapur and the Tatkares in Raigad. So it's going to be an interesting battle on all four seats that's going to be panning out. But let me shift our focus now to Goa as well. Madhavan Narayanan, you know, Goa is going to be interesting because we have Shripad Nayak, who's eyeing a sixth term. He has a clean image there. He, you know, he's been amid the people, but he's also being cornered for the loss of jobs when mining was halted. Now they're being outsourced. That remains one crucial, important issue for the people of Goa.
But you know, Shreya, I'm not really a Goa expert, but I can tell you two things. One is that, of course, the classic BJP appeal doesn't work there. So there's a lot of economic issues. There's a huge Christian population, and environmental issues, as you said rightly, are very important. But I don't know how that would affect Captain Fernandez, because right now Congress has been out of power in Goa for a while. So I think chasing something that happened too far in the past may not be the best way to look at the whole thing. I think we have to see if the money power of Pallavi Dempo really makes a difference, and whether you know, there is an Airam Gairam syndrome in Goa these days, resembling Haryana of old days, where you know you can contest from one party and jump. So it's a very fluid kind of a state. You know, but
Yeah.
you know, my gut feel, you know, this is based on some theories I have about the anti-incumbency factor. I feel that if you take away UP, Gujarat, and to some extent Madhya Pradesh, in all other states, the anti-incumbency wave looks more probable than before. And to that extent, BJP will be on the defensive.
Madhavan Narayanan, you talked about an interesting point of defections. This is, in fact, the first polls for 8 Congress MLAs, Vijay Grover, who had switched to the BJP. This is also the first election after the late Manohar Parikar's death. So that, how it's going to pan out, how much of that, you know, personality politics plays out in Goa, that's going to be interesting to see.
Well, see, 2019, if you remember, Mamata Banerjee and the Aam Aadmi Party had made a very strong rhetoric there, even though they got, you know, a small percentage, maybe 7%, 8% of the votes, which was split away from the Congress last time, because AAP and Mamata Banerjee's thing. But this time around, since it's an India alliance, and you know, those votes, if in case they don't shift, that will be something which will be big. There is also a lot of resentment in Goa over the fact that, you know, post-COVID, the kind of hit that tourism has taken over there, that's a big question, because tourism is one of the biggest contributors to Goa's GDP, and, you know, the way the governments there have handled, not made enough efforts to revive tourism. That is something that is going to be a key factor at the street level, because that is what keeps a lot of people employed over there. And they feel that, you know, the state government and the member of parliament from there have not done much. This is something where, you know, we will see
Yeah, in
key
fact, you know,
contestants.
Vijay Grover, just a few months back, I had actually visited Goa and had my cab driver was telling me how the union is very upset with the BJP government because they're getting in cabs and, you know, their revenue is reduced and they're not earning much. So that also remains a very important issue. Yeah.
Yeah, so local Goans certainly are upset because the way, you know, the things have been handled over there post-COVID have not been the best. And, you know, this is where BJP is known for bringing big corporates and, you know, those kind of investments certainly into the thing. But the local economies do get impacted, and that could be a very crucial factor as far as Goa is concerned this time. Both whether the AAP supporters, who are quite a big number in Goa, and TMC, which contested last time, we saw that, you know, that could be a game changer this time. And I see maybe one of the seats will certainly go Congress way this time.
Let's quickly get you Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. These two crucial states going to polls in phase 3. Let's quickly start with Uttar Pradesh. 80 seats in total. Last time around, the BJP had won 62, BSP 10. Samajwadi Party was at 5, Apna Dal was at 2, and the Congress at 1. Remember, Uttar Pradesh, only 8 seats are going to polls this time around, but crucial state there for all political parties, especially, of course, the BJP, who's going to be looking at, reviving this kind of a result this time around as well. But let's quickly look at the key contests in the state. From Firozabad, you have Vishwadweep Singh of the BJP versus SP's Akshay Yadav, who's going to be battling it out. We also have from Badaयूं, we have Durvijay Shakya versus Aditya Yadav. Crucial seat there as well in Badaयूं, Uttar Pradesh. Up next is Bareilly. You have Chhatrapal Gangwar of the BJP versus Praveen Singh Aaron in this seat of Bareilly. Important seat there. Key issues, of course, in Uttar Pradesh will be talked about. In Mainpuri, sitting MP Dimple Yadav versus Jaiveer Singh of the BJP. Dimple Yadav, of course, Akhilesh Yadav's wife. We'll have to see how this time around it plays out for her. Let's quickly also talk about the key issues in Uttar Pradesh. Poor infrastructure is one big issue there. We will have to see. Also, the unresolved farmer issues in Uttar Pradesh are also a voter concern. How that translates into votes, we'll have to see. Rising communalization is something that the opposition parties have talked about, our voter concerns as well. Paper leaks and unemployment, a big issue in the state of Uttar Pradesh. In the past, we have seen, situations of paper leaks and, of course, unemployment remains a big issue. State of law and order is a key poll issue. Remember, the Yogi Adityanath government has been, enjoying some sort of favor in this area. But what happens in Uttar Pradesh, we will have to see how it pans out for all political parties. Let's also get you now the contest of Madhya Pradesh, how that state will be witnessing the battle in Guna. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia versus Congress's Yadvendra Rao Singh. Remember, Jyotiraditya Singh is also one of the richest candidates. Jyotiraditya Scindia, beg your pardon, is also one of the richest candidates this time around in phase 3. In Vidisha, you have Shivraj Singh Chauhan versus Pratap Bhanu Sharma. Another important battle specifically for Shivraj Singh Chauhan after the assembly elections in Madhya Pradesh. In Bhopal, we have Alok Sharma of the BJP versus Arun Srivastav. Remember, Bhopal comparatively being a little more urban than other areas of Madhya Pradesh. Rajgarh in Madhya Pradesh has Congress's Digvijay Singh versus Rodmal Nagar of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Important battle for Digvijay Singh. Let's quickly take a look now at the key issues. Anti-incumbency is something that voters and people of Madhya Pradesh will be looking at. Poor health infrastructure in rural areas, a big voter concern in the state of Madhya Pradesh. That needs to be strengthened. Severe water crisis. Water is a huge problem, not just in Madhya Pradesh, in fact, across a lot of constituencies this election season. Whether or not that becomes a big voter concern and translates into votes, we'll have to see. Rising crimes against marginalized communities is also something that people are talking about in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and that's going to be a key issue. Personality cult versus people's issue. How will it play out in the state of Madhya Pradesh? We will have to see whether personality takes dominance or people's issues like we listed for you right now, water crisis, unemployment, all of these issues, whether or not that is translated in the polling booth on the 7th of May. But let me go across to my guest, Madhavan Narayanan, Uttar Pradesh, a crucial seats, 8 constituencies vote in the third phase. Uttar Pradesh has so many issues. It has the paper leaks, unemployment, all of these issues. But the big concern, favorable outcome that we have seen, at least for the BJP, has been the Ram Mandir inauguration.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that UP is one state in which the Hindutva politics with the Ram Mandir factor plays a huge sentimental influence. And Yogi Adityanath's strongman governance has a lot of fanboys and girls. But this time, what I would watch out for is whether the alliance between Samajwadi Party and Congress as part of the India alliance, whether the synergy between them is going to make a big difference, along with some of the other issues that you have raised, such as paper leaks and unemployment, because the BJP has been cruising in Uttar Pradesh. But it was a big surprise for me, although you were only stating known facts. But it's important to remember that UP did not sweep, BJP did not sweep Uttar Pradesh last time. So the Bahujan Samaj Party factor is going to be very critical because Mayawati is officially against the BJP, but she's also against the others. So where the Dalit votes go is something that we should be watching, because that might swing towards Congress. Because if you really know how UP works, there's been only one occasion where the BSP and Samajwadi Party had a successful alliance in 1993 or so, which failed miserably later. And in spite of an open alliance later, it didn't work because at the grassroots level, Mayawati's party has a lot of landless workers, laborers, while the Samajwadi Party has a lot of small-time, farmers and landlords. There have been some economic antagonisms apart from caste issues related to Yadavs and Dalits. But the presence of Congress as a cementing factor could well bring Dalit votes towards the Congress and therefore towards the India Alliance and therefore the Samajwadi Party. And to that extent, the anti-incumbency factor against the power of Yogi, who has been talking about airports and expressways in UP makes a difference. It's important to remember that BJP's development strategy in Uttar Pradesh, if you take away the Swachh Bharat toilets, a lot of it is muscular. It's about big, Yamuna Expressway, airports and tourism in Ayodhya and all. Now, does that touch the common citizens of Uttar Pradesh? Is there an anti-incumbency mood because of paper leaks, unemployment, and some of the positive spin given by the arrival of Congress and SPS allies? That I would be keenly watching. And last but not the least, let me cite a very important statistic, which is that in spite of Yogi overwhelmingly winning Uttar Pradesh as chief minister, Samajwadi Party had a 37% vote share in the assembly elections last time. Therefore, and then there are, of course, the Muslim votes, which are very critical, and you can assume that it's going to go against the BJP, and it depends on the constituency. So the Western UP has already voted, which is where the charts were sort of wooed by the BJP through a Bharat Ratna for Charan Singh. But I see Uttar Pradesh electorally not as one state, but as 3-4 states. Central UP has a different picture. Southern UP has a different picture. Eastern UP has a different picture. So this phase is going to be very interesting. The anti-incumbency wave against, or not a wave, I would say, factor against Yogi looks more likely than before.
Vijay Grover, do you resonate with that? The fact that there are caste factors, there are religious lines that are followed by people, and you also have on-ground issues like unemployment and paper leaks. How much of what is resonating with the voter on ground?
You're asking me?
I'm asking Vijay Grover, Madhavan Narayanan.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I think this is an open season because there's been so much of campaigning by Yogi that
I'll come to you, Mr. Narayanan. I'll come to you, Mr. Narayanan. Apologies. This was for Mr. Grover.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, Shreya, one thing, as Mr. Madhavan Narayanan clearly said, is BSP vote bank is the game changer as far as, TUP is concerned. 19% last time with all the muscle power that, Mayawati could muster, or, the kind of assured kitty that she has. But this time around, we've seen it's only a half-hearted approach from her. And that could be something, which way it will go. That is a big thing. If it moves towards the India Alliance, we could see 5 or 6 constituencies where the game could change. Otherwise, if it is, going to be split equally or going to be retained with thing, then there is a question mark again as to what happens. Now, you very clearly mentioned poor infrastructure, and if you have traveled to Uttar Pradesh in the past, somewhere people of Uttar Pradesh, during my travels over there, I felt have resigned themselves to fate, and the only factor that keeps them going is, if Abdul is not getting it, Ramesh is happy, and that is where the communal factor is very important over there, and maybe that is what will keep the polling indications also going. So this is something where we don't see major shift, but yes, the Dalit voter will be the game changer. That is something that we are going to be seeing over there. And in few constituencies where we see, like, Varanasi, where the economy has been boosted, or, now in Ayodhya with the kind of activity happening around the Ram Mandir, we are seeing that tourism is getting a thrust over there. So those could be few constituencies. But the way Rahul Gandhi now decided to skip Amethi clearly shows that that's a very wrong signal to his own cadre in the state, that, he shied away from Amethi and is going to Raebareli instead. So that could be a negative factor.
Madhavan Narayanan wants to respond to you. Please go ahead, Mr. Narayanan.
Actually, I find this very interesting because I have a slightly different interpretation. It's only a guess. Let me caution you. I mean, Vijay is an old friend and colleague, and I quite agree with what he says in some ways. But at the same time, I want to think out of the box and say that the fact that Priyanka Gandhi is also very actively and articulately campaigning, and she is a free agent right now because she's not contesting, and the fact that Amethi, even if you assume that it's been handed over on a platter to Smriti Irani, in an anti-incumbency move, if there is a mood build-up, that's what they are aiming for, then the knock-on effect might benefit Congress or Samajwadi Party in other constituencies nearby. Because I know I've actually spent one night at Amethi long ago, and I can tell you, people of Sultanpur always don't go. I mean, they and Amethi people sort of go against each other in many ways. So it's a sort of a Scotland versus England kind of a situation. And therefore, I'll be watching whether some of the positive effects of BJP winning in Amethi.
But Madhavan Narayanan, even if it's anti-incumbency against Smriti Irani, do you think KL Sharma would be a pick that people would want to make?
Me thinks no.
Okay. We leave it there, and we'll have to see how it pans out for the BJP and the Congress. But let's now quickly shift our focus to Gujarat, important state there. Of course, it's been BJP's stronghold. It's been the Bharatiya Janata Party's bastion. But what are the key contests that we will be looking at in the state of Gujarat? Let's quickly get you those as well. In Rajkot, you have Purushottam Rupala versus Paresh Dhanani. Remember, this is a crucial and closely watched battle because of the kind of angst that we've seen from the Rajput community coming in against Rupala. From Amreli, you have Bharat Bhai Sutaria versus Jenny Thumar of the Congress Party, another important seat in Gujarat, Amreli. Of course, from Anand, you have Mitesh Patel of the Bharatiya Janata Party versus Amit Chavra of the Congress Party, fighting it out in phase 3 of the Lok Sabha elections. In Bharuch, another important constituency, Mansukh Bhai Wasawa versus Chaita Bhai Wasawa is also something that voters will be looking at. It's Wasawa versus Wasawa. In Navsari, important seat there, Sr Patil versus Naishad Bhai Desai is going to be important for Sr Patil. We'll have to see how it really pans out for the two political parties there. Let me go to my guest. Japan Pathak, BJP का stronghold रहा है गुजरात. अगर आप अभी भी पूछें तो वो कहेंगे कि गुजरात में तो बीजेपी ही जीतेगी इस बार. पर ये जो राजपूत कम्युनिटी का एंगस्ट है, ये जो रिजर्वेशंस आई हैं आफ्टर रूपाला's कमेंट, ये कैसे प्ले आउट कर रहा है ऑन ग्राउंड?
देखिए, पुरुषोत्तम रूपाला ने राजपूत या क्षत्रिय कम्युनिटी का नाम तो नहीं लिया था, लेकिन कहा था राजा महाराजा रोटी बेटी का व्यवहार करते थे, इंटरफेथ, मुगल ब्रिटिश कॉन्टेक्स्ट में कहा था, लेकिन बाद में उन्होंने क्लैरिफाई किया था कि मुगल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में था. तो इससे राजपूत कम्युनिटी, क्षत्रिय कम्युनिटी यहाँ की बहुत आहत हुई है. बड़े सम्मेलन हुए हैं उनके, बड़े, यानी आप लाख 6 फिगर्स में वहां पे प्रेजेंस रही है. और एक तो इतना बड़ा हुआ है, लेकिन और भी 50,000 60,000 की प्रेजेंस हो क्षत्रियों की, ऐसे सम्मेलन भी 2-3 और हुए हैं। और रूपाला ने माफी मांगी है पब्लिकली, एक बार नहीं, 2 बार नहीं, 3 बार क्षत्रियों के बीच आकर भी। गुजरात को बीजेपी के प्रेसिडेंट ने भी माफी मांगी प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके। चीफ मिनिस्टर ने मीटिंग ली, मिनिस्टरों
जपन
ने
पाठक,
मीटिंग
पता
ली।
है
ये
क्या
जो
क्या
coordination
कहा जा रहा है
committee
कि रूपाला की माफी से उतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं हो रहा है जितना प्रधानमंत्री के साइलेंस से हो रहा है इस इशू के ऊपर।
तो डाइल्यूट ये इशू तब हुआ कि जब राहुल गांधी का भी स्टेटमेंट आया बेलारी की रैली में राजा महाराजाओं के बारे में, कि राजा महाराजा जमीन जब चाहे तब छीन लेते थे, ले लेते थे गरीब और दलित वगैरह की। तो ये जब इशू राहुल गांधी ने भी ये कहा, तो ये इशू थोड़ा डाइल्यूट हुआ कि नहीं देखो, बीजेपी से नाराज होकर हम कांग्रेस को भी तो वोट नहीं कर सकते। राहुल गांधी ने भी तो ये कहा। इसके बाद प्रधानमंत्री की विजिट हुई और प्रधानमंत्री कल जामनगर में जाम साहेब से मिले। हम जानते हैं जाम साहेब एक बहुत बड़ा व्यक्तित्व है क्षत्रिय समाज में। जाडेजा पोलैंड से भी कितने अच्छे रिश्ते थे उनके फादर के, शत्रु सली, जिनसे पीएम मोदी मिले कल। जाम साहब ने पगड़ी भी भेंट की प्रधानमंत्री को और विजयी भव भी कहा। तो एक बार जब प्रधानमंत्री की विजिट हो गई और ये लोकल परसोत्तम रूपाला स्पेसिफिक या कास्ट स्पेसिफिक या लोकल इश्यू के स्पेसिफिक इलेक्शन न होके जब एक बार प्रधानमंत्री आए और उन्होंने एयर क्लियर करने का प्रयत्न किया, और उससे पहले राहुल गांधी का भी रिमार्क हो गया क्षत्रियों के बारे में, राजा महाराजा के बारे में, और उसके सिवा यहाँ के आपके कैंडिडेट है भावनगर के, उन्होंने भी कहा कि राजा महाराजा तो ओपीएम लेके पड़े रहते थे, तो ये भी उन्होंने कहा। तो इससे ये पूरा इशू डाइल्यूट हुआ है। जितना सीरियस बीजेपी के लिए ये इशू था कि क्षत्रियों के मास में वोट हमारे खिलाफ पड़ेंगे, और खिलाफ पड़ेंगे तो जाहिर है वो कांग्रेस को वोट दे सकते हैं, लेकिन उस अभी जो फ्रेश जो एटमॉस्फेयर बना है उसमें डैमेज थोड़ी कम होगी। हालांकि डैमेज होगी जरूर, लेकिन डैमेज काफी कम होगी जितना पहला एनडी से किया जाता था।
Interesting. Madhavan Narayanan, I have to wrap this up, but quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah, quickly, it's important to remember that BJP sweeping Gujarat, in spite of all they say, it's a politics of embarrassment involving Kshatriyas and Patels. But I would like to take this opportunity to tell your viewers that both Mughal history and British history have had very checkered things. Even Rana Pratap and Man Singh were on the opposite sides, and the Kshatriyas were in many ways in partnership with BJP. We need to, with the British. So it's very important to understand, to revisit history so that the simplistic statements for polarization made in today's politics have no relevance. This election is giving us a good chance to truly study history as it should be. Otherwise, it's all BJP in Gujarat.
Well, all right. We'll leave it there. Madhavan Narayanan, Vijay Grover, Madan Mohan Jha and Japan Pathak. Thank you very much to all of you gentlemen for joining us on Road to Lok Sabha and sharing your perspective on that crucial phase 3 of the Lok Sabha election.